My name is Anna. I'm 22 years old. I live in a small town with my mom and my little brother. I work at a bookstore in the town centre. Every day, I help customers find books. I enjoy my job, but sometimes I feel nervous. Some customers speak English, and I do not always understand them. I want to speak English better, but I'm afraid of making mistakes. I often stay quiet and smile, but deep inside, I wish I could speak with confidence. One day, my manager came to me. He said, "Anna, there is an English workshop this weekend. Would you like to join?" I looked at him and said, "Maybe ... I don't know." He smiled and said, "I think you will enjoy it. It can help you." I thought about it. I really wanted to speak English better, so I said, "Okay, I'll go." On Saturday, I went to the workshop. I wore jeans and a white shirt. I felt excited and a little scared. There were many people in the room. Some looked happy. Some looked nervous like me. The teacher stood in front of the class and smiled. She said, "Welcome, everyone. Today we will learn English in a fun way. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to try." Her words made me feel a little better. Then she said, "Let's start with simple phrases you can use every day. These phrases are short and useful. Native speakers use them all the time." She wrote the first phrase on the board, "How's it going?" She looked at us and said, "This means how are you?" but it is more friendly. It's what friends say to each other. Then she asked us to turn to the person next to us and try it. I turned to a girl sitting beside me. I smiled and said, "How's it going?" She smiled back and said, "Not bad, just tired. You?" I laughed and said, "Same here." I felt happy. It was not hard. It was fun. I felt like I was really speaking English. Then the teacher said, "Great job. Let's learn the next phrase." She wrote, "I'll get back to you." She explained, "This means you will answer later. Maybe you don't know the answer now, but you will reply later." She looked at me and asked, "Anna, what do you say if your friend asks, 'Do you want to go to the movies on Friday?' But you don't know your schedule." I thought for a second and said, "I'll get back to you." "Yes," she said. "Perfect." Everyone clapped, and I smiled. I felt proud of myself. The teacher continued. She wrote another phrase on the board, "I'm just kidding." "This is a funny phrase," she said. "You say it when you make a joke." A boy in the class looked at me and said, "You look like a famous actress." I was surprised and said, "Really?" He laughed and said, "I'm just kidding." We all laughed. It was a happy moment. I understood the joke and the phrase. I used English, and I laughed with others. It felt good. The teacher smiled and said, "See? Learning English can be fun. Use these phrases in real life. Use them at work, at home, or with friends." After the class, I walked home. I felt different. I felt more confident. I thought to myself, I can do this. I don't need to be perfect. I just need to try. That night, I looked in the mirror. I remembered the phrases, "How's it going?" "I'll get back to you," and "I'm just kidding." I said them out loud. I practiced with my reflection. I whispered, "You can do it, Anna." I smiled. It was the beginning of something new. I knew I had a long way to go, but I also knew I had taken the first step. I was not afraid anymore. I wanted to keep learning. That was the day my English journey truly began. The next week after the workshop, I went back to work at the bookstore. I was still thinking about the 3 phrases I had learned. I wanted to try them in real life. I wanted to speak more English at work, even if I made small mistakes. I told myself, don't be afraid, just try. On Monday morning, I saw a man standing outside the bookstore. He was looking at a map and seemed confused. I walked up to him slowly and said, "Hi, can I help you?" He looked at me and smiled. "Yes, please." "I'm looking for River Street." I didn't know where River Street was. I didn't want to say I don't know. Instead, I remembered a new phrase. I said, "I'll get back to you." Then I went inside and asked my co-worker. She checked on her phone and told me where the street was. I returned to the man and said, "Go straight to Blocks, then turn left." He said, "Thank you. Your English is very good." I smiled and said, "You're welcome." I felt happy. I had used one of the phrases. It worked. I helped someone. That gave me more confidence. Later that day, my friend Emily called me. She asked, "Do you want to eat dinner together, pizza or Thai food?" I didn't have a strong opinion, so I said, "It's up to you." She laughed. "Okay, let's get pizza." That night, I wrote in my notebook, phrase of the day, "It's up to you." The next day, I was working at the counter when John, a new co-worker from Canada, came in. He started talking to me. He said, "I think bookstores are more peaceful than libraries." "Don't you think so?" I wanted to show that I understood his idea, even though I wasn't sure if I agreed. So I said, "I see what you mean." Then I added, "But I think libraries are a bit quieter." He nodded and smiled. "Yes, that's true." We continued to talk for a few minutes. I was proud. I used another phrase. I felt like I was having a real conversation in English. A few minutes later, a woman came to the counter. She asked me something quickly. I didn't hear all of it. I felt nervous for a moment. But I remembered what I learned. I said, "Sorry, could you repeat that?" She smiled and said, "Do you have the new John Grisham book?" "Oh yes, it's over there," I said, pointing to the shelf. I helped her find the book. I was glad I asked her to repeat. Sometimes it's okay not to understand. It's more important to keep the conversation going. In the afternoon, I got a message from Emily. She said, "Where are you?" "I'm at the cafe." I quickly replied, "I'm on my way." I grabbed my bag and left the bookstore. I smiled as I walked. I had used another phrase again, and it felt natural. That evening, I sat at my desk and opened my notebook. I call it my phrase journal. Every day, I wrote one phrase and a short story about how I used it. I also started something new. I called it One Phrase, One Mission. Every morning, I picked one phrase. My goal was to use that phrase at least once that day. It was like a small challenge, and it made learning more fun. Sometimes, I didn't use the phrase. Sometimes, I forgot, but I didn't give up. I just tried again the next day. Learning English was not just about books or grammar. It was about speaking, listening, and feeling brave enough to try. The more I used these small phrases, the more confident I became. People understood me. They smiled at me. They listened. That gave me power. I started to notice something new. When I used a phrase correctly, people spoke to me longer. They wanted to talk, and I wanted to keep learning. At night, I looked at the ceiling and thought, today, I helped someone. I had a real talk with John. I understood a customer. I'm growing. I smiled in the dark. My journey was not finished, but I had made progress. I was speaking English in real life, and that made me feel proud. A few weeks passed. I continued to practice English every day. I still made small mistakes, but I did not stop. I felt stronger and more confident. Every morning, I opened my phrase journal and chose one phrase to use during the day. My English was not perfect, but it was getting better. I was not afraid anymore. One evening, my little brother Max came to me. He's 10 years old. He looked at me and said, "Anna, can you teach me English too?" I was surprised, but I smiled. I said, "Of course, let's learn together." We sat at the kitchen table. I showed him the phrase journal. He listened carefully. I taught him simple words and phrases. He repeated after me. We laughed and learned at the same time. I felt proud. I was not just learning English, I was helping someone else too. One day, my friend Maya invited me to her birthday picnic in the park. I was excited. I had not seen some of our friends in a long time. I prepared a small gift and went to the park. When I arrived, Maya smiled and said, "Anna, I'm so happy you came." I looked at the people around me. Some I knew. Some I didn't. A man I didn't know walked up and said, "Hi, I'm Tom. I'm Maya's cousin." "What do you do?" I took a deep breath and said, "I work at a bookstore. And I'm learning English." He smiled. "That's cool. Your English sounds good." I smiled too. "Thank you. I practice a lot." Then Maya said, "We're going to play a game after lunch." I replied, "That sounds great." I felt relaxed. The words came easily. I wasn't thinking too much, I was just speaking. Later during the picnic, I wanted to ask a question. I started to speak, but then I forgot what I wanted to say. I paused for a second and said, "Never mind." Everyone laughed kindly, it was okay. I didn't feel embarrassed, I felt free. English didn't scare me anymore. At the end of the picnic, I talked to a girl I had just met. Her name was Sarah, she said. "Let's go for coffee next week." I smiled and said, "Yes, let me know when you're free." She replied, "I will." That night, I walked home under the stars. I felt full of hope. I had used all 10 phrases in real life. I didn't need to think too much anymore. The phrases felt natural, like part of me. When I got home, Max was waiting for me. He asked, "How was the picnic?" I said, "It was amazing. I used my English, and I made new friends." He said, "Can we practice more tomorrow?" "Yes," I said. Every day, I sat at my desk and opened my journal. I wrote, "Today I used, that sounds great." "Never mind, let me know." I spoke with confidence. I didn't feel shy, I felt like myself. I thought about how far I'd come. A few weeks ago, I was afraid to speak. I worried too much about grammar. Now, I was speaking with real people, in real situations. I still had a lot to learn, but I knew something important: confidence grows with practice. I also learned something else. English is not just about words. It is about people, it is about sharing stories, ideas, and feelings. It is about connection. The next day, I had an idea. I asked my friends if they wanted to meet once a week to practice English together. They said yes. We started a small group called the English Sharing Circle. Each week, we picked one phrase. We shared stories, played games, and helped each other learn. The group became a special part of my life. We laughed, learned, and grew together. It was not just about language, it was about friendship and support. Looking back, I see that learning English changed me. It made me braver, it helped me connect with others. And it gave me the tools to help my brother, my friends, and even strangers. I learned 10 simple phrases, but those phrases opened a big door. Behind that door, I found connection, confidence, and joy. Now, when someone asks me, "How did you learn English?" I smile and say, one phrase at a time. And I mean it, and a story is a story of growth. At the beginning, she felt nervous and shy. She was afraid to speak English. She was scared of making mistakes, but she did not give up. She took the first step by joining a simple English workshop. There, she learned just a few useful phrases, and that small start changed her whole journey. Step by step, Anna used those phrases in real life. She used them with customers, friends, co-workers, and even strangers. She made mistakes, but she kept trying, and slowly, her fear turned into confidence. Her quiet voice became stronger, her small actions became big progress. She also helped others. She taught her little brother. She invited her friends to practice together. She created a small community. That is how real learning happens, not just through books or grammar rules, but through connection, practice, and kindness. Now, Anna is no longer afraid to speak. She knows that learning English is a journey, not a race. It's okay to be slow. It's okay to forget words. The important thing is to keep going, to keep using what you learn, and to enjoy the process. The lesson from Anna's story is simple but powerful. You don't need to be perfect to speak English. You just need to be brave. You can use this lesson in your life too. Start small. Pick one phrase. Try it today. Say it to a friend. Use it in a message. Write it in your journal. Don't wait for the perfect time. The time is now. Confidence grows one word at a time. And now, congratulations to you. If you're reading or listening to this part, it means you've finished the whole story. That means you've practiced your English listening, reading, and understanding. That is a big win. Be proud of yourself. Your English has improved just by following the journey with Anna. Let's test your memory with a fun question. Question. What did Anna say when she didn't hear something clearly? A. I see what you mean. B. Could you repeat that? Write your answer or B in the comments. Let us know how well you remember the story. And if you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to the channel. Your support gives us motivation to create more helpful and inspiring stories for English learners like you. Also, if you want to support this channel, feel free to donate. In the beginning, it's very hard for us to make high-quality content. We do this for free to help you learn English better. Your help means a lot. Thank you for being part of our learning family. See you in the next story.